Welcome to Teacher Mind. In this video we are going to be looking at a graph in which a transformation is shown. The objective is to describe the transformation. Let's begin. When we look at our graph, we notice that there are two triangles. Triangle ABC, and this would be the pre-image, and triangle A prime, B prime, C prime, which is the image. Now, sometimes these are pretty obvious, sometimes they're not in determining what sort of a transformation it is, but there's a couple of things that we can look for that help us to make that decision. First of all, let's look at the direction that each point moves to its image location. So point A, use a different color, point A moves in this direction to get to A prime, point B moves in this direction to get to B prime, and point C moves in this direction to get to C prime. So when we look at that movement, the first thing we see is that the direction that each point moves is the same, or we could say parallel movements. Parallel in their direction. So that's the first thing that we look at, is direction. The second thing that we look at is orientation. Now, the way that you approach that is you usually think alphabetically. If I go from A to B to C, I'm moving around in a clockwise direction. If I go from A prime to B prime to C prime, I'm going in a counterclockwise or anti-clockwise direction. So the orientation is different, or some people might say opposite. Different or opposite. The third thing that we look at is the distance. The distance that each point moves. Well, the distance, these are easy to count here. Distance from A to A prime is 1, 2, 3, 4. The distance from B to B prime is 2. And the distance from C to C prime, you can count, is 6. So clearly, the distance is different. Now, these three characteristics of direction and orientation and distance, when they look like this, it is telltale signs of a reflection. So the first thing that we have to do is identify what sort of a transformation we have. We have a reflection. Well, if it's a reflection, that means it is an isometric transformation. If it's an isometric transformation, then that means that triangle ABC and triangle A prime, B prime, C prime are going to be congruent. You have moved it, but you have not changed its size. You've just changed its placement, or the direction that it's oriented. Different ways that you can change it without changing the size makes it an isometric transformation. Well, if it's an isometric transformation like this, it's a reflection. We have to now decide what exactly is it reflecting over. We have to find our line of reflection. Well, our line of reflection can be found by connecting the midpoints of these red segments that I have here. So the segment between A and A prime has a midpoint right here. And the segment between B and B prime has a midpoint right here. And the segment between C and C prime has a midpoint right here. And so this one falls on a grid line, so it makes it a little easier, but this is our line of reflection. And we have to decide then, what is the name of this line? What is the equation for it? Well, since it's a horizontal line, then that means that it is going to have a y equals format. What y value does it go through? Well, here's 0, here's 1, here's 2. So it's going through 1, and therefore the line of reflection is the y equal 1 line. Well, there's a shorthand or shortcut way of writing this. Rather than just saying it's a reflection over, or some people say about, the line y equals 1, you can use a lowercase r, and then your subscript can be the line that you're reflecting over, the line of reflection, and then what it is that you're reflecting. So if I'm reflecting triangle ABC over the line y equals 1, I can write it like this, or I can use the longer way and write it out in words. Well, I hope this helps. This concludes the lesson, and I'd like to thank you for visiting Teacher Mind. It's a great place to discover something valuable.